Title: The Vanishing of Tony Marcus. A true crime narrative. The scream that echoed through the forest outside Maplewood wasn't heard by anyone that night, but by morning, everyone felt it. When 23-year-old Tony Marcus failed to show up for work at the local auto shop on June 14th, his disappearance sent a chill through the quiet town where nothing ever went wrong. Maplewood was the kind of place where neighbors trusted each other, kids rode their bikes until dark, and life was beautifully predictable. Until Tony vanished. Within hours, missing posters appeared on lampposts, search parties found out through the woods, and the name Tony Marcus became the only thing anyone talked about. Because in Maplewood, no one just disappeared. Tony Marcus was the town's golden boy. Handsome, hardworking, polite to a fault, he was the kind of young man parents pointed to as a good example. He worked part-time at Mason's Auto Repair, volunteered at the youth center, and lived with his mother in a modest house on Birchwood Lane. But behind his friendly smile, Tony carried secrets few could imagine: money troubles, private guilt, and a love he should never have fallen into. On the evening of June 13th, Tony met up with friends at Murphy's Bar, a popular hangout on the edge of town. Witnesses later said he seemed distracted, checking his phone, looking toward the door, as if waiting for someone who never came. At 11:45 p.m., Tony told his best friend, Derek Cole, that he was heading home. That was the last time anyone saw him alive. The next morning, Tony's truck was found abandoned at the edge of an old service road that cut into the woods. The driver's door was ajar. The keys were still in the ignition. Inside, his wallet and phone were gone. There were no footprints, no blood, nothing but silence. Detective Laura Briggs, a seasoned investigator with a knack for reading people, arrived at the scene. She stared at the empty road and said quietly, "This wasn't a random act. He knew whoever did this." At first, police suspected a robbery gone wrong or a random abduction. But Tony's bank records told a different story: large cash withdrawals in the weeks before he disappeared, totaling over $5,000. His phone logs showed repeated calls to a number saved only as AJ. Detective Briggs traced it to Allison James, a married woman in her early 30s who had volunteered with Tony at the youth center. When brought in for questioning, Allison broke down. She confessed that she and Tony had been having an affair, a relationship that ended just 2 weeks before he disappeared. Her husband, Mark James, an ex-Marine who worked in private security, quickly became the prime suspect. He had motive, training, and a reason to want Tony gone. When officers searched Mark's property, they found something shocking: Tony's wristwatch, buried beneath scrap metal behind his garage. Mark was arrested, and for a moment, Maplewood believed the case was solved. But Detective Briggs wasn't convinced. The evidence felt staged, as if someone had planted it there. Her instincts told her the truth was messier. And when an eyewitness reported seeing Tony arguing with another man outside Murphy's Bar the night he vanished, a man who wasn't Mark, Briggs followed the new lead. That man was Derek Cole, Tony's best friend. Under questioning, Derek claimed he hadn't seen Tony after the bar that night. But surveillance footage from a nearby gas station told another story. It showed Derek's car heading toward the same service road where Tony's truck was found, just 15 minutes after Tony left the bar. A warrant was issued to search Derek's home. In his basement, detectives found burnt papers in a metal bin. One partially intact note read, "If you tell anyone, I'm done paying." It was enough for Detective Briggs to dig deeper. 3 weeks later, a hiker found human remains in a shallow grave deep within the Maplewood forest. Dental records confirmed what everyone feared: Tony Marcus was dead. Near the body was a charred journal and a broken phone battery. The surviving pages revealed a devastating truth: Tony had discovered that Derek, his best friend, had been blackmailing him for months after finding out about the affair. Derek had threatened to expose Tony to Allison's husband unless he paid him off. The final journal entry, written the night Tony disappeared, read, "I'm meeting Derek tonight. He says it's the last time I'll have to pay him. I just want this to end." It was the last thing Tony ever wrote. When confronted with the evidence, Derek broke down and confessed. He admitted to confronting Tony that night, demanding more money. An argument turned violent. He struck Tony, panicked when he realized what he'd done, and buried him in the woods. Then he planted the watch on Mark James's property to throw off suspicion. "He was my brother," Derek wept. "I didn't mean to kill him. I just wanted him scared." Derek Cole was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Mark James was exonerated, though his marriage to Allison crumbled under the weight of the scandal. Allison left Maplewood with her children, never to return. As for the town itself, it never truly recovered. The disappearance and murder of Tony Marcus became a dark reminder that evil doesn't always wear a stranger's face. Sometimes, it sits beside you at the bar. Sometimes, it's the friend you've known since childhood. Detective Briggs later reflected in an interview. Tony wasn't killed by hate. He was killed by fear, greed, and silence. The kind that grows when no one dares to speak the truth. Today, Maplewood still whispers his name when the nights get long. And in the quiet spaces between those whispers, the woods remember.